Let's say you're a driving enthusiast and you want a baby M car, a small, lightweight BMW front engine rear wheel drive that's fun to drive on the canyons, maybe even on track. Do you go with the tried and true F87 BMW M2, or do you go with something like this? A 2009 BMW 128, that's the E82 generation, which you can have for about 10 to 12K roughly, and then dump some mods into it. All in, you're looking at something around 20K, assuming you're doing the work yourself. And it's going to be a bit lighter, it's going to be down on power, but with these mods, how close of a driving experience can you get to something like an M2? The 128i is powered by the N54 engine. That's the 3-liter naturally aspirated inline-6, which normally makes 230 horsepower, 200 pound-feet of torque. But with all the various mods, full model is down in the description, including headers, tune, etc., we're actually pushing around 240 wheel horsepower, 220 wheel torque. This is actually technically the N51 Sulev model engine. That's for the California emissions. We've got the factory 6-speed with the M Sport package. Some other highlights in terms of mods that you should know about. We have the M Factory helical LSD with a 3.73 final drive from an automatic 335i. The brakes are actually from an E82 135i all around. Also did square wheels and tires with Kosei K117 by 8.5 with 245 section width RT660 tires. When he does his track setup, it's 255 on 17 by 9 square, -4 degrees of camber in the front and 2.2 in the rear. And we also have a 1M transmission swap with a Dynon short shift kit and an OEM F10 550i clutch kit. Clearly, Terrence, the owner, knows how to set up a car. He's actually set up many cars for track work, and it's always fun driving a car like this where you have something that's smaller, lighter, cheaper, and in the right hands, someone can really transform this into something else. Classic BMW interior. I like this temp gauge here. It really slots in beautifully with the vent right there. One thing I also found really interesting is that you have a lever here where you can actually tilt the whole seat. My seat back is also going, the whole seat. So rather than just lifting the thighs, you can tilt the whole seat back, get your thigh support where you want it, and there you go. Nice little ergonomic touch there. Yep, that's definitely not stock power, that's for sure. Now, traction gets really, really intrusive, so we're going to turn this off. There we go. We see that circular icon, and we are set. Silky smooth, straight inline 6 with a beautiful linear power delivery. The car only weighs a bit over 3,000 pounds, just under 3,100. Strut front, multi-link rear. We do have TC Klein coilovers with damping set to the max stiffness. 400 pounds in the front, 700 pounds in the rear as far as spring rates. Oh wow, rotation with that LSD. Oh, there it is again. Wow, what a dynamic car with the weight transfer. At corner entry, you can really tuck the nose in. And then as you get on the throttle, you can induce some rotation with power going to the rear end with that LSD. This is a really dynamic car. This car, I'm sure, would be a fucking riot on track. Bouncing around quite a bit. It's a bit stiff for this road. This is a bumpier than average canyon road though, keep that in mind. Pretty grabby brakes there. Not the smoothest downshift with the heel toe. We'll try that again. Steering also very direct, getting a little bit of feedback. And again, when it comes to modern BMWs, you have to dial back your expectations. But for a modern BMW, steering is pretty direct. You get a little bit of feedback. Nice natural weighting too, sporty weighting. Let's give you a pull. grabby brakes, pretty firm pedal. Still able to modulate it, but definitely on the grabbier side. Transmission is very tight and notchy. They've reduced some of that rubberiness to the transmission, and very short, tight throws, higher effort, very mechanical feeling. Man, the way this chassis communicates though with you, it's just so confidence inspiring. You can feel the weight transfer. It'll tuck in and rotate just as you expect with not only weight transfer but throttle input. Throttle is also very natural with its response. There we go. Now the heel toe is a little bit more natural. Oh, dude, so much grip. And now, while the suspension is too stiff for a road like this, you have this very planted nature, and it's not too crashy. I really think this is it's slightly optimized for track. It's a bit stiff for canyons, but even still, like, it's not punishing on the canyon road. Oh yes. Okay, I take back what I said. It is a little bit slightly punishing, does bounce you around a bit on some of these bumpier sections, because this road is definitely not the smoothest. But wow, it really shows you when you're intelligent and intentional with your mods and your setup, you can completely transform a car. This drives so well for 20 grand all in. The owner actually does work on cars for a living, and I'm sure that helps. He got this car and it actually wouldn't start, so he was able to get it at an even lower price. Dumped in much more value in mods rather than the actual vehicle value. Yeah, this level of power to the wheels, sub 3,100 pounds. And I mean, the inputs are also very good for a car like this. Is the steering super alive? No, but it is definitely more direct and more feedback than a standard BMW from this era. Yeah, wow, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. You get a lot of feel and feedback, chassis communication, moderate amount of steering communication. Transmission is easier to use with these shorter throws and higher effort and extra crispness, because oftentimes with BMW transmissions, they're too rubbery, too long of throws. Throttle response very natural. Brake pedal nice and firm, confidence inspiring, natural throttle response. Oh man, this is just, there's so much done right here. And it goes to show you, part of it is choosing the right car, but such a big part is setting it up properly and intelligently. All for 20 grand. But let's say you have a greater budget. Should you go with the F87 M2 for about 35 to 40K? Let's find out. 2017 F87 BMW M2. These go for about 35 to 40K. So you're essentially paying twice the price versus that 1 Series that's around 20K all in. But do you get twice the driving experience? The M2 is powered by the N55. That's a turbocharged inline-6 3-liter with a twin-scroll turbo, making 365 horsepower, 343 pound-feet of torque. You can get it with a 6-speed manual, but here we have a 7-speed DCT. And with the DCT, it gets your 0 to 60 down to 4 seconds versus 4.2 if you went with the manual. But you know me, I'd probably still go manual anyway for the added engagement. Just like the 1 Series, we have strut front and multi-link rear. This is a few hundred pounds heavier, 3,450 pounds. That's with the manual. A little bit heavier with the DCT. And we have a 52-48 front to rear weight distribution. We've got the active M differential with torque vectoring. MSRP for these was $52K, but again, on today's market, $35 to $40K. In terms of mods, we have aluminum charge pipes, Wagner intercooler, and a zero tune from MHD. So again, 2 different philosophies. You start with the more expensive car and don't change much on it, or you start with a cheaper car, change a lot on it, and still have money left over. I feel like my seat is slightly rotated to the left, not optimal ergonomically, but other than that, nice place to be. I actually like these carbon weave inserts here. These trim pieces look nice. We got paddles, and the controls here are always kind of interesting because rather than going back down for drive, you go to the right, and then you'll use the gear selector here forward and back for shifting in manual mode, which is the correct direction. So thank you, BMW, for that. I'm gonna put this into Sport Plus. DSC off. Wow. Well, there's a lot more power here, a lot more grunt. Wow, it's already feeling very nervous on these first few corners. With this tune, we're getting a lot of pops and bangs in the back. Some people love it, some people hate it. Nice sharp shifts. Getting a bit of a jolt in the back of the seat. Quick up shifts, quick downshifts. This thing is feeling a bit on edge, a bit on its toes. It really wants to step out. I could tell this would be a sideways riot on track. But you can feel the additional weight. It's what, around 300 pounds heavier than the 1 Series? And it feels like the weight is also higher up. There's a similar DNA that's shared between the two though. You get on the throttle, it definitely wants to rotate. And the weight transfer too at corner entry, it's very responsive to what you're doing with the brakes, helping you tuck the nose in. Again, a similar DNA, a similar feel in that regard, but this feels heavier. Suspension is a lot crashier. And it feels more nervous, less confidence inspiring. Very traction limited. That wasn't even like some special launch control. It wasn't brake vectoring or anything. I literally just mashed on the accelerator and that's what it gave us with DSC off. The whole car also feels a bit more numb than the 1 Series, so the steering here a lot less through the wheel. It's also artificially a faster ratio to artificially make the front end feel more responsive, and that's part of that contributes at least to the nervous feeling. And it's what a lot of manufacturers have been doing, especially BMW. Look at like the G80 M3. They want the car to feel more responsive and sharper at the front end, so they just increase the steering ratio. So when you first hop in, you're like, wow, the front end is so willing to change direction. It's like, well, kind of, not really, just a little bit unnatural, actually. Oh yeah, wants to come out. Yeah, the 1 Series just has this level of naturalness to it that gives you more confidence with all the inputs and more chassis communication, whereas here, I mean, I love the engine. This thing, it's turbocharged, but it feels so linear and it builds and the noise. I love the engine here. You're not paying much of a price by going turbocharged. The N55 is stout, it's strong, it has many strengths. Is it an S55 like you get in the M2 Comp? Obviously not, but even this lesser N55 is pretty good. But man, you lose out on a lot of feel, and you would expect a lot more comfort, and yes, this is more comfortable because it's not as stiffly sprung and not as heavily damped as that 1 Series, but yeah, actually a bit more crashy on the initial impact, and that's even with me going into comfort mode. I've compared an F87 M2 against a Cayman and a Supra, and I remember back then, the M2 wasn't what I expected. And granted, that car didn't have the best tire setup, but even here, I feel that it wasn't just an issue with that example, it's that the M2, granted the M2 Comp is totally different, very much transformed, but the base M2, the base F87, there's something about the way it drives where you want for more communication and you want for more confidence. I'm all for a rowdy car. I love getting sideways. I love doing that in my GR86, my FRS, and various cars. Certain cars encourage that and give you confidence as you do so. But the M2, it's very eager to do that, which is fun. But it doesn't do it in a way that gives you confidence. And that, I think, detracts from the fun. You want a car that is rowdy, but also communicative and predictable and easy to push and easy to dance with. And the way I feel with the higher center of gravity and the lack of communication through the chassis and the steering is that while this car does want to have fun, I only want to dance with it on track, really. On the street, you know, as the tail is coming out, it's not always as predictable and confidence inspiring in a way that I would want. Brakes here are also more street focused, so you have a more gradual initial bite and more travel to the pedal, not as firm. Paddles have this nice, very short and crisp actuation without being overly magnetic feeling like on a sim rig. I do like that. Throttle response is linear enough. That is going to change as you go to these various modes, of course. Obviously in Sport Plus, it's going to be far more sensitive, but you still have enough resolution here. Like the E46, you go into sport mode, the thing's just an on-off switch. But yeah, the interesting thing here is that it's twice the price, and it's newer. You don't have to do as much work to get the car to this level of performance. But, I mean, if it was my money, I would strongly go for the 1 Series, because I think you get a better, more engaging, more fun, in some ways, an even more capable driving experience at essentially half the price. Now, granted, you have to do far more mods, but if what you're focused on is driving a car hard and getting the most out of it when you're driving on the canyons or on track, I think the 1 Series delivers. The M2, on the other hand, it is a bit larger, you have something that is newer, it is a bit sexier, and there are pros and cons to that. But focusing on just the driving dynamics, it leaves me wanting a little bit more. But let me know, guys, what do you think with a comment down below? Big shout out to the owners, Terrence and Mary, for letting me review their cars. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on jabalandcars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in the next one.